Okay, welcome to the show. This is TED Talks Too Much. And we've got another great one for you today. I am Ted Moss, ex-ski bum, stand-up comedian, and your host. We are located in the OK Boomer Studios just outside of Flint, Michigan. That's right, I said Flint. Michigan's water wonderland, where they're still wondering when they'll get some clean water. But while we all wait for that, let's talk. And on today's show, we've got one of the rising stars of the Detroit comedy community, Mr. Markus Olind. We're going to talk about killing cats, podcasting, beards, smart Germans, almost dying, and everything comedy. So for all that, stay tuned.
This is Harmonious Merkin, your politically correct pundit, protecting the ears, minds, and feelings of the people who may be within receiving range of your thoughtless, casual, but callous utterances, here to remind you of what you may say and what you may not say today. Today's topic, group labels. Please be advised that going forward that the group formerly known as midgets should only be referred to as little people. The group formerly known as little people should only be referred to as children. The group formerly known as children should only be referred to as toddlers. And last but not least, the group formerly known as toddlers should only be referred to as little assholes. Now, I know this may seem harsh, but after thorough investigation and extensive consultation with PCPA, Politically Correct Pundits of America, we have not only determined that this is literally correct from a descriptive point of view, but we have yet to find one toddler that isn't totally narcissistic. Besides, if they don't like it, they are far too small to do anything about it. So as always, until things change once again, that's our advice on what you may say and may not say today. And with that, my friends, carry on.
All right, if you like young men who are bald and have very long beards, have I got a guy for you. This guy has been killing it in the Detroit comedy community, also has been out to LA, done a number of shows out there. We're going to talk about everything in the world, but you'll see it all comes back to stand-up. So let's give an OK Boomer Studio welcome to my very young and very funny friend, Markus Olind.
I'm doing. So it's like, it's double shitty because I'm just like, bro, if I explain to you what I'm actually doing, you would just be like, you would nod your head because you're the boss and you're supposed to, but you don't actually fucking know. And
All right. Hey, let's start this thing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Markus Olind, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, man.
I'm so glad you're here. This is great. I was so lonely.
You were lonely? You got these dogs running around. How are you lonely, man?
Yeah, I like to keep the dogs away from me. They're more irritant than they are company.
Ah, okay.
I spend more time, cleaning up pee and poo than I do enjoying the dogs.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to take a dog home with you?
I don't know if you're serious.
As a parting gift.
I don't know if you're serious. We just kicked our cat out of our house. So my mom has a cat that's like 15 years old. I remember when we got the cat when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And he just started pooping all over the house because he's old, and I just think
pooping or peeing?
Pooping.
Is it a boy cat or a girl cat?
Guy is a guy. Boy cat.
They usually end up peeing all over the house.
He wasn't peeing at all, but he was pooping right in front of the litter box. So either he was fucking with me or he just couldn't make it because he was old, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But we kicked him outside because it was summer, and we're like, all right.
Yeah.
So he's got his shit together now.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but he does now. So he doesn't poop in the house. We let him in every now and then, but he knows.
Yes.
Like I can see it in it because cats are different than dogs, right? Like dogs treat you like you're the boss. Cats, you gotta like remind them that you're technically the boss. So.
Yeah, I had 3 sets of 2 cats, and each and every time the male cat eventually started peeing around the house. And they tell me what happens is that they have a problem with their I'm going to say it wrong, urethra, their little pee track inside them. When they get older, it gets twisted or something. And so it causes them pain when they pee. And so they start relating pain to the litter box. So they start peeing at other places hoping it won't hurt. So they go by the litter box and go, this is going to be painful. So they go someplace else. And then they start peeing around the house. Now you got little pee spots all around the house that they can smell. And they go to those spots over and over until your whole house is filled with pee. And that's when you take them in and have them euthanized.
Ah,
you
whoa.
say,
okay.
Yeah, good night, Sally.
That's a fun open to the podcast.
Yeah, there you go. We are killing cats.
Killing cats
How to
because they
kill your
peed.
cat. Reasons to kill your cat.
Wow, that could be a whole series. You could start a new podcast called Reasons to Kill Your Cat, and I think it would probably do pretty well.
Yeah. Now, I can't remember. We've performed together a few times, but not many times, I don't think.
I think the last time we did was probably One Night Stands when you hosted for
you did
Chris
a guest
Newberg.
spot.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was colder than cold.
Yeah, it was, but what are you going to do?
Well, that kept the crowd down. I mean, we probably only had 50 people or something like that because it was a high of -10 that day.
Yeah, it was November, right? It was early. I think it was early November or something last year.
It was the coldest day of the year.
I remember, I had hit up Chris when I was in LA the first time in August, and he was like, we tried to get together when I was out there, it just didn't work out, and he was like, I'll be back in Michigan doing One Night Stands in it was the first weekend of November, whatever. He said, come on, do a guest spot.
Right.
And I did. You were hosting that night, and then after the show, Chris was like, hey, I'm doing this other show over on the east side somewhere, some random bar show. You want to come open it for me? So I was like, I just followed him there.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just, it's funny going from like a comedy club where it's like, there's a wait staff and everything's set up and there's a green room to like just walking in a bar. And it's like, I guess sit in the back. I don't know.
Yeah,
we're going to start the show whenever.
We'll introduce you sometime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you get introduced by the owner who has no timing, and he brings you up, and then you got to just perform. It was fun, though.
Yeah. When Billy and I were down in Key West, I met a great couple that run all the comedy down in Key West, and we went to a show, and it was called in a place called the Blue Room. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a really cool club, and the comedians are just so-so. They're local people.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one really good guy, then everybody was kind of like, kind of so-so.
I've never done Florida comedy, but I can imagine they don't bring the heat, really.
Yeah, it was the local fishermen that stopped by to have a couple beers and tell a couple jokes kind of thing. But in any case, we thought, God, we would be great in this room. And it was a packed room, and people were enjoying it. It wasn't a real high level of understanding comedy crowd.
Yeah,
You said dick, and I'm laughing. It was that kind of crowd.
Those are my favorite crowds.
Mine
They're the
too.
best.
I know, that's why I play Flynn a lot. But anyhow, they said, we don't have room for you tonight. But if you want to come back tomorrow night to this bar, you can perform there. And we did. Little did we know it was not a comedy show at all. It was, they were having a drunken spelling bee.
Oh.
And they actually just had a bar with just a row of booths behind it, very few seats. Everybody was looking over the bar at the games on the TVs. But at the end of the bar, they had a mic set up, and they were bringing up people to spell words who were drunk and making them drinks so they could win drinks, and they were all laughing their ass off. And in the middle of it, they said, okay, now for some stand-up comedy, and introduced us like,
oh, my God.
Shit.
Those are the horror stories. When people try and squeeze comedy into something, it sucks because people who aren't in comedy have this idea that comedy can fit anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, just put it in there. You can perform in between this. And
eat up 15 minutes. Go ahead.
Oh, my God.
Be funny.
It doesn't work like that. Well, I recently did comedy at my girlfrient's 4th of July cookout.
Oh, no.
The family were like, oh, you're both comedians? Do some time. And we're like, oh, God. Oh, it was terrible.
Oh, it has to be.
It was awful.
I have people ask me to perform all the time. Like I'm on a date. Oh, okay, do some jokes. I'm like, no, fuck no.
Yeah, that's the second date. Do some jokes, suck my dick. How? Come on. Like, what? Are you going to make me start? Do them naked. I want to have sex with you later. If I do my jokes, you won't want to ever have sex with me. So,
do you know how many times I've given out my podcast address to a potential girl that I'm going to meet, and all of a sudden I never hear back from her again?
A lot.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, too funny.
Don't do that.
I thought it was good, but I guess not.
I don't know. I don't think women are into podcasters. Unless you're Joe Rogan or something, I don't think women are into the whole, oh, you talking to a mic.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't like it.
Yeah. Do you know I went down to Podfest?
Podfest?
Podfest. They had a big festival for podcasters.
Okay.
And it was down in Orlando, Florida, and they had some of the best podcasters in the world. And they would give lectures, and they had classes 3 days, and you could choose which lectures to go to. They had great big group lectures, and they had breakout sessions. They also had some of the top YouTubers in the country that would talk to you. And they do presentations, but after the presentations, all of them were available to meet you out in the lobby and just sit down and have a 15-minute conversation about what you're doing and what you're trying to do. And so when I started podcasting, I had been guest hosting occasionally on Joel's show.
Okay.
Joel Radio. And I wanted to start this, and I had put out a few, and I didn't really know what I was doing, so I went down to this thing, and it was really interesting. But what they told us was that there is, I'm going to say, 500 million YouTube channels.
I believe it.
There is only 1 million podcasts. Now, podcast also, unlike YouTube, you can multitask. So you can be out riding your bike or jogging or working around the house and running it. You don't have to sit there like a TV and watch it.
Right.
So people are able to have it on for longer spans of time. Because, people are getting entertainment in 1 minute segments on TikTok or whatever. But with a podcast, you can be, I got to take a long drive down to wherever. I'll put a podcast on, and it's kind of like, custom fit radio. So anyhow, there's only 1 million podcasts, but there's only 247,000 active podcasts.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people start them, and then I've started multiple that I don't do anymore.
Well, the average life is 7 episodes.
Okay.
Of a podcast.
That's crazy.
Yes. Then out of the 247,000, the people that were really into it, a lot of them were at Podfest. I got to meet some of the people that were real strong enthusiasts that really wanted to do something with their podcast.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, 90% of them were doing things like, I do a podcast for my church.
Okay.
Or whatever. And I'm thinking, well, that's just really entertainment.
Yeah.
We're doing this on knitting. They're for these little groups.
Yeah.
Where, if we're doing comedy or talking about comedy or entertainment, that's a whole different thing, interviews. And so by the end of the day, I kind of felt like 90%, that leaves me only 10% that I'm competing with, and that's like 24,000.
Yeah.
And there are 1/3 of Americans listen to a podcast every month.
Okay.
That's 100 million people listening
a month.
So that's not bad.
I like that breakdown of the numbers because it makes it more tangible and it makes it more like you're really not competing. Because like you said, there's 500,000 or 500 million YouTube channels, you said?
Yes, 500 million YouTube.
So I think a lot of people, equate that to everything else. There's so many people doing it. Why should I ever even try?
Well, there's so many gas stations. Why should you open a gas station?
Right.
Well, maybe people want freaking gas. That's why.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy is whatever you start. You started a business, like when you start a business or you start doing anything, you start to get a little bit of success right at the very beginning, just a tiny, tiny bit.
Yeah.
And once you see that, it makes it real. Like once you make that first dollar, or you get your first laugh. The suck you in success, right? You get that little laugh, and you're like, I got to keep doing this.
I can do this.
And then you're chasing it. But that's like, you're never going to achieve anything if you don't chase it, right? It's never going to just come to you like that.
Yeah, but all businesses have to evolve. The key to businesses, and even if you're at the top, when I was in my lighting business, we were really at the top. So we were probably capturing 40% of the market, and all my competitors were sharing the other 60%. But we kept changing how we did business because the market changes.
Yeah.
And what customers want changes. And if you find something that works, you kind of go down that road, but you can only go so far, and then everybody can copy you.
Right.
So you want to be unique. You want to offer something that not everybody is offering. And the question is, how do you do that? And then you have to spend as much time marketing as you do producing. Now, you do a lot of that, right?
I need to do more marketing, honestly, because I spend a lot of time producing, partially because I have older iPhones and stuff. So it just takes longer to do the download of the video, and then the upload takes forever because I have slow internet, right? So those bottlenecks are something that hold me back, probably.
Right.
But if I could devote some of that time to marketing, I think I could probably do better.
Right.
But
yeah, but it doesn't matter how good the party is if nobody shows up.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's why you need to do the marketing.
Great show, and that people have a kind of disrespect or disregard for sales and marketing, but that's key. You can do a wonderful show and not tell anybody about it. Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to find it.
Yeah.
You really have to spend as much time on marketing. As a matter of fact, if you think about the movie industry, if they got a big movie coming out, they work really hard at marketing it, not just when it's out, but before it, the month before it's coming out, showing you little clips of it, little teasers. They take the best parts out of that show. And I try to do the same thing on my Instagram. I take a little clip. Here's a really good hot spot in the show to kind of give you a taste of what's going on. And sometimes after this great marketing campaign, you go see the movie and go, the movie was okay.
But you saw it.
You sure did. You tuned in.
That's what matters.
Yeah, I know. You get people in the front door. Now, you want to have good content so they'll come back.
Right.
So you got to have, in the case of podcasting, you have to have interesting conversations, but you have to have decent people that will talk.
Yep.
And it's weird because I went into this thinking comedians are really smart and they're very, very interesting and they have a different perspective. But not all comedians are really good at talking.
Most comedians, not most, I don't want to say most, a lot of comedians suck at podcasts.
Isn't that weird?
They suck on their own podcast. They suck when they go on other people's podcasts. And I'm like, you know what it is? Because they're used to just, I do my bits. They do their bits, right?
Yeah.
They go, I have my jokes. I'm going to do this. And then you go on a podcast and there's no room. Like you said, it's not Johnny Carson. You're not setting me up. There's no commercial break coming. It's just, let's hang out. And people get so like, well, I'm not being funny enough. And it's like, well, just be you.
Yeah. I don't want to name names, but I know some specific people that are doing podcasts, and I'm thinking, why? Why are you doing that? But I think it helps if you're in the moment, if you're real with people.
Yeah.
I think that helps, that people appreciate that. If you're being phony, if you're, well, let's talk about that, I think it comes off really bad.
Yeah, and I mean, so you gotta be natural. Right. And you can go off the deep end on stuff too and like be, what's the word? Like hyperbole, right? That's part of comedy is going to the complete extreme, but it's got to seem genuine. It's got to still be realistic and stuff like that. And I think the other thing you mentioned is guests, right? Like have an interesting conversation. Because I noticed this with me and Justin's podcast. We would talk about the different open mics that we would do during the week, and that would kind of fuel the conversation.
Sure.
Once that shut down from COVID, we're just sitting there like, well, what the fuck? Seriously, we're like, what do we actually talk about? And the conversations were like, oh, you getting your unemployment? Are you getting your unemployment? And it's like, we were looking at the numbers and we're just like, we weren't laughing at our own podcast. So we're like, okay, we got to change something. So we started like, when we go in post-production now, one of the things we do is we're like, do we think it's funny? Because if you don't think your own shit is funny, like how are you going to ever expect other people to listen to it, right? Yeah. So we're looking at it and we're like, okay, we watched the first 10 minutes. We're like, well, we're laughing through it. Like we're laughing at ourselves, idiots.
Right.
And so we're like, all right, it should be good. Well,
that's because you are engaged in the conversation.
Right.
That you care about, you're listening to what's going on and you're engaged in wherever the conversation is going. I think that's important.
Yeah. And then we also were like, let's start getting some guests in. So what we started doing, and that's why I want this soundboard, because we just started doing old school phone interviews, right?
Yeah,
because we realized Zoom is cool, but Zoom has some real limitations, drawbacks, the quality. And then the really bad part we noticed is like anytime you do a Zoom or a Skype, there's this delay.
Yeah.
It makes conversations real hard.
You know what? And I talked to somebody about this. I was going to have a comedian on, and he said, let's do a Zoom. And I said, no, I don't do Zoom. I only do in person. Right. I did 2 over the telephone, but it's just like the interviews you see on TV.
Yeah.
You got all these gaps. Do I talk now? Then you have people talking on top of each other and they don't know because they aren't reading any body language.
Right.
And in person, we've been communicating for, thousands of years. We understand when it's okay to be on top and when it's okay to sit back. But when you're on the phone or on Zoom, it makes it difficult. Also, the phone, I don't know if you know this, but it clips off the high end and the low end.
Ah, that's okay. Because I have been noticing that with phone interviews.
The sound is not going to be as good because the range is narrower because the way they transmit, sounds over the phone.
And that's so. Obviously, in person's the best. I prefer phone to Zoom, though, because there's this weird thing with Zoom where it's like you're tricking yourself into thinking you're there. So you're like, well, I can read the body language, even though you can't.
Yeah.
So with phone, at least we're like, look, we're on the phone. We get that we're on the phone. I'm going to let you talk. When I can tell you're done, then I'll. So you get the weird pauses. But at least, for us at least, it provided some variety to the conversation. We're able to get some comics we know from LA or, just from around here even. We're able to get different people on. So that's been fun. Like we had a guy from the UFC who was in Vegas.
Oh, that's awesome.
a couple episodes ago. So it's just, you're able to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, we don't have most of the time, the whole show isn't just the phone interview. We'll have a little phone interview and then we'll talk after, and that'll kind of fuel the conversation going forward. So
I heard something about doing a Zoom show, but then each end recording on Audacity. And then sending the Audacity file. Audacity is free.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a pull to ask your guest to download Audacity and record it. And, and send it and then kind of coordinate that whole thing. That makes it a little bit tough.
I did a podcast where it was on Zoom, and it was fine on Zoom. But the guy was like, well, just make sure you send me your video and your audio. And I was like,
I don't want to work this hard.
Well, the podcast was over. I was like, I didn't record any of this. I thought you hit record on Zoom, and you have the video off Zoom and the audio. And he's like, well, I thought you were going to do a whole different. I was like, no, I wasn't going to do that. We didn't discuss. I mean, and then, you go through. Sometimes you go through the conversation with the person before, and you're like, I guess you said that, but you buried it in a fucking paragraph. And it's like, I'm ADD. It's just tell me where, when, what are we doing? If you have any big rules, let me know. But it's like, what the fuck are we talking about? This is not CNN. Your 30 listeners are going to be fine with this, right? But I don't know. That's the other thing is like some people take their podcast too seriously and some people don't take it seriously enough, and you got to have that middle ground, right?
You know what? I was on a podcast recently of somebody, they were out on the West Coast and they were up in Canada, and they called it something about the philosopher and the comic.
Okay.
And they had a comedian and they had a guy that was calling himself a philosopher because he had studied philosophy and had a master's. Now,
that's all it takes.
Well, I think there's a bit more to being a philosopher.
No, there isn't, okay? There's nothing more to that.
I read a book. I am a fucking philosopher.
That's all it is.
Philosopher. Yeah, right. No, I don't think so. But anyhow, they wanted to talk to me about PC, about being politically correct.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech and those kind of things. And I'm pretty laid back, but I'm not so laid back all the time. I mean, if you want to push me on things.
Yeah.
And it kind of went south. The whole thing got really bad. Well, they think they're talking to a stand-up comedian. They think I'm going to be funny. And he asked if his comic could be on my show. But the way his show was structured, he would say something, he would quote Confucius or somebody, and then the comic would make a joke about it. He'd try to say something silly about it. And they called it a debate. Well, it wasn't a debate. It was one man stating something and the other guy was some clever quip about what he said.
Yeah.
That's not me. If you want to talk about freedom of speech, I'm going to talk about when I was a hippie and I was protesting for gay rights and women's rights and, the 60s. Civil rights. Yeah.
What was it? SDS? Is that what they were?
Well, that was Students for Democratic Society. They used to blow up buildings. I was not with them.
Okay. I just vaguely remember 10th grade history, and I remember, because you're trying to go through U.S. history in a semester. And
exactly.
You're like, so SDS, free speech, Berkeley, all of it, and then Nixon.
Save the whales.
And I'm like, so it was all together, right?
Yeah. Well, the cool thing was, back in those days, you'd walk across campus and there'd be people speaking on everything. And you could ignore them and laugh at them and walk by, or you could stop and listen. And the main thing we were interested in was ending the Vietnam conflict, which was not a war because it was never declared war, by the way.
Okay.
And they were drafting people. And if you didn't go to college, you go to Vietnam. That was the thing. That's why I was in college, primarily not to be shot at or shoot anybody in Southeast Asia. So that was the thing for me. But finding out that they were reporting wrong body counts and things like that. And so that really upset me. It really upset me that the government's lying to us.
Right.
And that was when, everything was uncovered for me. And I thought, well, there's a lot of bad shit going on.
Yeah.
And my parents, the greatest generations, they were down with, segregation and holding women back. And there was just a whole bunch of bad things. Pollution. They didn't care throwing things out the windows of their cars for trash. There was just a whole bunch of bad things. So there was a lot of things to protest. And so that's who they got on the show. They got somebody that used to be kind of very, very liberal and very strong-minded about it and wanted to ask me if freedom of speech was important.
Yeah.
And they were saying that they started talking about microaggressions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sticks and stones. Get over it, dude.
Yeah.
So what? That's the price you pay.
So, did they want you to take microaggressions are a bad thing and to take it really seriously?
They were saying...
They thought you were taking that position?
They thought that I should agree that if I say something offensive, that I should not say that, and they have a right to shout me down if I say something they disagree with. And I'm like, no, you have to allow unpopular speech.
Yes.
Because we only evolve through change, and we only find out what to change by throwing a whole bunch of different ideas out there, and none of them are popular.
Yeah.
Because if we stayed with the popular ideas, nothing changes.
But isn't that weird how in the 60s it was protesting for, let us say these things that are against the government?
Well, we didn't have to protest for that because that existed.
Right,
we
right.
were allowed to say whatever the hell we wanted to.
Right, but I'm saying, so now it's come the other end where it's like, don't say this. You can't say that. You can't say this.
I know, because everybody's offended.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you have to be offended. Otherwise, we can't have a conversation because I'm going to say some shit you don't like.
Yeah.
And so just be prepared to be offended and disagree. And I'm fine with that. But anyhow, the whole show devolved. It was not good. I don't even think they'll probably put the show up.
You know what you
I'm
were
in the
talking
trash.
about? So you were talking about how many podcasts get started and how many like end and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you know how many unaired podcasts there are out there that are probably hilarious?
That
but
people
whoever
want to put out
produced
there?
them,
'Cause,
they
yeah.
were scared to put them out, right? They were just
Yeah.
like, I can't put this out. Or they were just like, I don't know. But there's probably so many zombie podcasts out there that
Yeah.
are hilarious, but no one will ever hear them.
Yeah.
I think about that when I have like a killer set at an open mic.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is better than a special, and fucking nobody's gonna hear it. It's just these three alcoholics, and that's it. And I'm like, I killed, but whatever.
I think this is interesting. Now, you're 29 years old, is that right?
26.
26 years old.
Yeah.
God, you're a youngster.
I know.
You're almost young enough to be my grandson. I mean, you're pretty damn young, dude.
You know, you might want to cut this. I don't know, but I remember I was doing a show like 3 years ago. I had just come back from Germany. I was there for like 3 weeks, and I was doing an open mic that you were at.
Oh, God.
And
You're going to criticize me now.
no, I'm not. This is one of the
On
best.
my show.
One of the best pieces of advice. You told me, I think I was 23 or 24 at the time, and you we were talking, and you were
Yeah.
like, how old are you? I was like 23, 24, whatever I was, and you were like, well, my only advice to you is do more drugs. That's what you told me, and I heard that, and I was like, that's not what you're supposed to say, because I'm already trying to do them all, and now I got this old guy telling me do more while you're young, and I'm like, so thank you. I
I
appreciate
told you
it.
that?
Yeah, I might have been someone else, but I think it was
I must have been high at the time. I don't recall that.
I just remember that, and I'm pretty sure it was you. and
Yeah,
I
it
was just
could've
like,
been. Who
that's
knows?
awesome advice, man.
All right, and you've been doing comedy how long?
About 4.5. It'll be, well, it's almost 5 in October. It'll be 5 in October.
Dude, you were good fast then, because you've been pretty good right out of the box. I mean, for a couple of years now.
appreciate it.
No, honestly.
Thank you.
What year did you win the LA Express competition?
It was 2018, 2019. So the final was January 2019. So
Was
then,
I on that final with you? That year?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay. I made it to the finals one year, and the next year I made it to the semifinals. I can't remember.
Okay.
And in both cases, Bill put me up first.
Oh.
And Bill...
Brett Hayden went first on mine. I remember that. So.
You know what? Well, you know what? Bill's not only running a competition, he's trying to put on a good show.
Yeah.
And so he wants somebody with energy up front to kind of engage people like, we're really going to have comedy because here's somebody that's loud and funny. And so he did that to me twice. And the second time I said, Bill, what are the odds? I mean, I'll take a bullet once, but I'm not going to win from first. By the time they vote, they've forgotten everything I've said if I go up first. There's just no way.
And I remember when the lineup came out for the final, I looked at it and I was like, thank God. Because I was like right in the middle. I was like,
really?
that's where I wanted to be. Because
Yeah,
I knew
absolutely.
it's a huge disadvantage to go early on a contest. Because again, people forget you and the crowd's not warmed up. Right. I think, honestly, you were talking about biting the bullet. I think that's the bigger disadvantage than the voting even.
Yeah.
Because I think they do a judge's vote, but judges forget. And then I didn't want to go too late because I didn't want the crowd to be tired. So I got a nice sweet spot. It just worked out for me. Although this year, Demetrius Fields, the guy who won, I call him kid because he's younger than me even.
Oh, my God.
He went last. He was the last comic up, and he won.
That's cool.
I heard he had a killer set.
Yeah, from middle to end, I think is okay.
Yeah, well, definitely.
First, 1, 2, 3, really tough.
That's a big disadvantage for sure.
Yeah, it really is. Now, when you won that contest, they sent you to LA.
Yep, I went to LA August 2019.
And where did you perform?
So they hooked up spots at the Comedy Store, at the Ice House, and Flappers. So Flappers has the Burbank Comedy Festival.
All three.
Yeah, so they got me into the Burbank Comedy
And
Festival.
were they like, one's a festival?
One's
were
a
those
festival.
like showcases, or were they like...
Yeah, those were like showcases and stuff. They were
So you're
all
doing like 15 or something?
No, you're doing 5 at Flappers.
Oh.
You're doing 5, and then you get like 3 shows, and then they pick, of the weakest shows, they pick, I think they had like 200 comics, so they pick like 60 comics from the 200, and they do like a Saturday night showcase.
Oh,
so I got to do the Saturday night showcase.
Oh, that's cool.
That was fun.
Well, that's fun. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep. And then, so the Ice House, I got to do 2 shows there, 2 like, one was a Tuesday, one was a Thursday. I did like 15 and 10 on those ones, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And then at the Comedy Store, I did the Monday open mics. That was 3 minutes. Then I did a show in the main room on Thursday, where I did 10 minutes. That was highlight of my career. That was the shit. That was awesome.
Cool.
And then I did a Saturday night belly room show where I did about 5 minutes too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you meet Ron Taylor when you were out there?
I met him. Yeah, I met him out there.
And had you known him before?
I had met him like once or something like that before, but yeah, I met him out there really for the first time.
Yeah, I remember performing with him when I first started a lot down at Joey's, and he was all over the place, but he's a pretty good comic, man.
He's an animal, man. I was, when I went out there for a month, and I just slept in a rental car and it kind of bounced around.
Lord.
I did it like an idiot, right?
Yeah.
I was like, they give you a certain amount of money and they're like, plan your own trip. So I was like, well,
I got an RV that I'd be glad to rent you.
I have a minivan now that I converted into a sleeper van.
There you go.
But then, because I was just like, I don't want to. I had just bought my minivan right before the trip, so I was like, I don't want to just buy a car and take it to California.
Right.
So I flew out there. I had already booked a flight, so I flew out there. I rented a car for a month, and I was sleeping in it here and there, and people would let me crash. But I crashed with Jeff Horst for like a week.
Oh, cool.
And so we were just hanging out one night, and we went out to the Comedy Store just to hang out, and Ron Taylor was like one of the last comics up that night. It was like 1:30.
Yeah.
There were like 10 people left watching, and he just went up there drunk, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was great, and we were just chilling in the back. That was, it's just fun.
Yeah, he's got a great style. He's really laid back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Hey, I wanted to ask you about your beard. And
sure.
For people that haven't seen him, he's got... you have this look. What is this look called when you have a bald head and a long beard? Is there a name of this?
I think they call it racist nowadays. I don't know. I don't know. There's too many white guys. Jay Harris is saving my life right now because he's a bald black guy with a big beard. But other than that, it's just a bunch of, like, they all look like me. They all hate everyone, and they just give me a bad name.
You're supposed to have a bunch of tattoos, too.
Tattoo. I have one tattoo, and it was $500. So I was like,
wow.
Oh, shit. And it's not even big. It just took them a long time because there's a lot of, like, filling in the color. It's on my back. But it's like, yeah, I like tattoos, but that's why right?
Yeah, I got tattoos.
They're expensive.
No,
you got a nice house. They're not, okay. I want nice tattoos. I'm not talking shit about your tattoos.
As long as they're spelled properly.
See, and that's
key to
that's
me.
where your money goes, though,
Yes.
right? Because you're talking about a drunk spelling bee, man. You get some guy who's like, yeah, I'm good with the pen, and it's like you're reading what he wrote. It's like, that's not the Nicene Creed or whatever the fuck I wanted to get on my arm, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, when did you decide to grow the long beard? Have you had that, like, ever since you got out of high school? Was that like did you have a beard at the time, and all of a sudden it just kept growing?
I started letting it go like 3 years ago. But I started growing a beard after high school. That's kind of when it started to grow. So I just let it grow. And then I had a beard in college, but it was like short, right? It was like on my face,
like
basically. Yeah, it was trimmed. And then about 3 years ago, I just stopped I just started letting it grow out.
I think it's interesting because you don't have to worry about the type of collar on the shirt you buy. I was going out on a date, and I was going, do I leave 2 buttons unbuttoned or 3? I mean, at what point do I look like Disco Joe?
Yeah.
And with you, it doesn't matter.
Well, even before I had the beard, I never worried about my shirt collar. I just make sure my pants are zipped up.
Yeah. Well, you could wear a bow tie. That could be your signature thing, and nobody would know it. Just like, no, I'm wearing a tie. Can't get in here without a tie. Just have a clip-on underneath your beard.
I should get a clip-on bow tie because I don't want to tie it.
No. You should
on.
always wear a clip-on bow tie, and in the middle of your act, if it's not going well, just flip up your beard and show them that you dressed for the occasion.
I'm bombing with the bow tie. Look at me. There is something to like having that savior bit for it's going shitty. Let me try to swing it real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe bow tie's the move. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good image for you.
This is why I like talking to different people because they always have like different shit that I would never have thought of, and I was like, you're right. People ask me about hiding stuff in my beard, and I've like snuck a joint in my beard, like you just a little joint, you stick it in there. It's kind of fun. Like I can cover my face with it like that. People are like, why don't you do anything with that? I'm like, because this wasn't planned. like I'm gonna use my beard for evil or for good. It was just I don't like shaving, and I can't grow hair very well up top. So I was like, well, I'll just let the beard grow.
Guys that grow heavy beards usually are hairy guys. A lot of testosterone, balding, hairy guys. Usually they end up with somebody half shaving their back. Usually they just turn into gorilla people at some point.
Back hair isn't that bad.
It's going to get bad.
Okay, well,
if you
I'll
can
take
grow
your
a beard
word for it. I'm German, not Greek, but still, it could get bad.
Are you German?
I am, yeah.
Wow. I mean, German, like both parents German?
My dad's not German. My dad's American, but my mom,
there is no American.
He's Polish, German, Spanish, a little bit of, like Spain Spanish, not like, he's still white. He's very white.
Yeah.
But my mom's from Germany. I was born in Germany. Actually, we moved to Michigan. She is from Münster. If you know where that is. It's like northwestern, it's kind of central, but northwestern quadrant, if you want to break it down like that.
I had a German foreign exchange student that lived with me for a while, and really smart girl. I also had a German girlfriend for a long time, and it always seems to me that German people in general, if I can generalize about your group.
You can. I'm giving you permission. Say it.
Very industrious, very hardworking.
I appreciate that.
And very, very smart. And actually, almost like a super race of people.
Almost. We have our drawbacks, and they're primarily related to alcoholism and just being insane. Like, German people are kind of crazy. Because it is. You're right. We're industrious, but we're also insane with it, right?
Yeah, but the really, really, really smart people are German. I mean, Einsteins and all those people that are really brilliant are German.
I got high last week and watched a bunch of Ancient Aliens, and I'm starting to think that aliens gave some intelligence to German people.
Germans? They passed something down.
Yes, I believe so.
Honest to God. I mean, really, even the American scientists are all German.
Well, that's so. In the documentary series, they were talking about like there was this alien crash in Germany, and then all of a sudden Nazi technology way improved, and then after the war, obviously everyone knows that all the German scientists came to America and had no charges, just like fuck everything you did, all your war crimes, just build us a rocket, right? And they did. So I don't know, and the Soviets did the same thing, right? They were just like, all right, we'll just get all the German scientists you can.
That's crazy.
And then it was just a German space race, basically. So
do Germans have a higher IQ?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. They say
here's the thing.
Hasidic Jews have the highest overall average IQ for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I mean, part of it, like the Jewish culture values education really highly. That was one thing. Like,
but that doesn't influence IQ.
It doesn't. But I mean, I think when you focus on like education, when you have that as a value, I think over time it could have slight impacts on overall IQ.
Yeah, that sounds like the Asians to me.
The Asians too.
Asians are all about studying,
Asian
and
culture.
hard
And that's honestly, I mean, I think that's why. I don't want to say that's why Germans and Japs got along back then. No, that's not my point. My point is that's why they both
take over the world.
No. That's why they both build good cars today. That's the only reason.
Toyota.
There's something I was trying to write a joke about how if you want to build good cars, you had to lose World War II.
Exactly. Well, they started both wars.
The Japanese?
Germans.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I was trying to frame the Japanese
your
for
people,
it.
Dude.
I know, we did.
I'm waiting for you to start the next one.
Again,
I think
drawbacks, right? We're good at some things. We're bad at winning world wars.
Yeah, but the country's only this big.
Yeah.
And you almost frickin' won. How does that happen?
Yeah, start a war with Russia.
Yeah, join us. Hey, you got to join us. We're going to kill you or you join us. Okay, we'll join you.
That's always a crazy strategy. It's like, are you with us? Well, I don't know what you're really about.
Yeah.
Put a gun up to you. Are you with us?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I'm with you now. You have a gun to my head.
I heard something recently, and it said that the American Indians out in the Plain States were so murderous and tribal that it was understood they just raid people. That's all they do is raid because they aren't carrying money in their pocket to purchase stuff.
Yeah.
So they go someplace, they see something, and they take it by killing the other people in the other tribe. And the people in the other tribe understand if they come raid our camp, they're going to kill all the men.
Yep.
They're going to kill all the children and all the women except young girls of certain age that they might be able to fold into their tribe to have more babies. But everybody else is going to die, and they all accepted that. That's the way it was because they're doing the same thing. They were all just raiding tribes, and everybody understood you're not going to survive.
Yeah. I think people were more realistic about mortality back then. I think it's weird, and COVID is kind of bringing it out. People are realizing more like, maybe I should appreciate certain things in life a little bit more, you know? But I think for the past probably 50, 60 years. I mean, like your lifetime, probably. I feel like people really got comfortable with, there's never going to be another anything. It's just going to be great, and everything's going to advance, and everyone gets to live forever, and it's this weird idea.
See, you're really young.
I am really young.
Yeah. Okay. When I was your age, they started up the draft, and my friends didn't want to go to war. Because when you go to war, you aren't just the guy with the gun. You're the guy with the bullseye on your back.
Yeah.
The objective is to kill these people in uniform if you can.
Right.
And we're going to send you over there with a uniform on, which is basically a target on your back. And people are going to try and kill you.
But that's an iteration of what you were just talking about with the Native Americans, right? It's just on a massive scale. Basically,
yes.
It was always this conflict. And then, after Vietnam, you have the Cold War. And again, this is just Wikipedia history, right? I don't know it for a fact.
Yeah.
But it's like things kind of calmed down globally to the point where it's like now, we had the war with Iraq and Afghanistan. They weren't drafting people. Right?
Yeah, well,
so it seemed like
that was a whole
nother thing.
Yeah, that was a TV war that lasted,
I think
no time at all.
For a lot of people, it was like, well, I never have to fight and die. I never have to die, right? I can just, pursue my I have a degree in some bullshit and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got really comfortable with that. And now I think it's more like you could die doing anything. Like you could die driving, you could die from COVID, you could die. You're going to die.
Have you ever had a near-death experience of any sort where you thought you were going to die?
So I've been told when I was like 2 or 3, we got in a really rough auto accident where the car ended up upside down. But again, obviously, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, I was driving home from a show, and it was winter, and it's just getting off, I think, off 96 onto the Southfield Freeway in Detroit.
Right.
And I just, got on the off ramp, and I just started to skirt, and then I was spinning around in a circle, and I was like,
freeway,
on the freeway
coming.
Well, it wasn't crazy traffic. It was a little bit later at night, so the traffic wasn't crazy, but there were a couple cars behind me, and I'm just spinning. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna hit that wall, but then I didn't hit the wall. I kept spinning rather than going towards the wall, and then eventually my car just, stopped facing the right direction and everything, and I was just sitting there like, holy shit. And I looked, the 2 cars behind me just stopped and watched me basically. And I'm just sitting there, Justin Timberlake's on the radio, and I'm just like, I should be fucking dead. I should be super, super dead. And then I just keep driving home listening to I'm Bringing Sexy Back. And it was the weirdest shit ever. Because now every time that song comes on, I'm thinking like, I should have died to Justin Timberlake, and that would have sucked. That would have been awful. It's the worst way to go. If you're telling me the music I got to die to,
I want to die to Beyonce.
I want to die to anything other than Justin Timberlake. Maybe not anything, but definitely not that.
Yes.
It was brutal, man. But yeah, that was some scary shit.
When I was in college, I took a class called Death and Dying, and you weren't supposed to take it if you were recently bereaved, if you were upset about death. So they went through the stages of dying. And, first is anger, and then rejection, and then acceptance. And you go through these different stages. And I never thought about it too much, but I had studied it. And then one day I was driving to work. For my job, I was a salesman who was on the road. I wore a suit. Didn't want to wear my seatbelt because it wrinkled up my suit. It was hard to get in and out. I was going to clients, briefcase in the back kind of guy, jumping in and out of the car. So I got stopped by a cop about a week prior, and he said, I see you don't have your seatbelt on, and you're speeding a little bit. I tell you what, I won't give you either ticket if you promise to wear your seatbelt. And I said, oh, dude, I'd almost rather pay the ticket because, see, I'm on the road all the time, jumping in and out of this car, and it wrinkles my suit, and I don't have to unbuckle and rebuckle. And then I'm spending hours every week driving up and down the highway to different clients. And he said, well, it's up to you. Do you want the ticket or you want to wear your seatbelt? And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll wear my seatbelt. Well, because I'm a man of my word, I started wearing my seatbelt. Even if I went to the local gas station 2 miles away, I'd put on my seatbelt. And I thought, I hate this thing. And it was just a, shoulder harness seatbelt. But about 3 weeks later, I'm driving to work with my suit on and my seatbelt on. And I'm going around a big curve, and it's a little bit slippery out. And I'm making a merge from 75 to 69 eastbound. And there's a hidden additional merge onto that expressway. And this guy came up 100 miles an hour. And I was probably going about 60. And I didn't see him. There was nobody around me when I got up there. But he was gaining on me from behind and merging in. And he had to go around a bend. And he was on the inside of the bend. He couldn't hold the bend. So he came out and hit my right front quarter panel going 100 miles an hour, turned me slightly sideways, and I hit a concrete wall going 65, 70 miles an hour to a dead stop. So between the time he hit me and I hit that wall, there couldn't have been more than 10 seconds.
Right.
And I was about to get married. First thing was I was pissed. Like, what the fuck happened? I was like, what the hell happened? I thought, oh my God. And then I thought, I'm going to hit this wall. I thought, oh no, I'm going to die. Then I thought, what about Teresa? What about the kids? And then I thought, this is going to happen right now. This is not going to happen a week from now or a month or someone. I mean, right now I'm going to be dead and I'm going to find out what happens when you're dead. And I thought, this is going to be really interesting. And then I hit the wall. But my last thought was, this is going to be cool.
Yeah.
That was honestly, I went all the way through this pissed off to upset to worried about stuff to acceptance in a matter of 10 seconds. And I smashed that wall and opened up my eyes, and the front of the car smashed into the engine into the firewall, pushed back in the car, totally collapsed the car. And now I'm sideways on the expressway. And I thought, oh, I got to move my car. So I went to kind of put it in gear to get it moving. Not put it in reverse. Yeah, like this is going to drive. Yeah. And the door was kind of buckled open. So I thought, well, a car's going to come down the expressway and hit me broadside now. I thought I ought to get out. So I pushed the door open and got out.
And just walked away?
Well, yeah, I did walk away. And then, somebody stopped. The guy that hit me had spun out. It didn't hurt him at all in the snow. Just spun around a few times. He was some kid, and he was having his first baby. His wife was having their first baby, and he thought he had to rush to the hospital, not knowing that labor takes 24 hours. Like, dude, do not be in a rush to get there. So, I had a bad back because of it, because I just had a shoulder harness. I had no airbag or anything. So I twisted around that shoulder harness so hard that it twisted my back bad. So I limped for about 2 years. Wow. I got cortisone injections in my back. I thought about suing him, and I thought, yeah, he's a young kid starting out. He's just stupid.
Yeah.
What's the sense? I'm not going to go through that.
But it's so crazy because, like, a lot of times I always think I'm a good driver. I always think that because I know I'm a good driver. I've driven in Germany. I've had like professional training on a racetrack before. Nothing crazy, but like I've done more than your average driver. I'm like, I know I'm a good driver. But it happened to me less than a week ago. I'm just driving on, again, it was 96, the merging and all that. The way they design these freeways are ridiculous. But it's like the merging is crazy. And I'm just driving, going around a curve, and there's a car next to me. I'm in the left lane going around this curve.
Yeah.
And then he starts fading over and fading over. I'm like, I'm looking at him, and it felt like slow motion because it's crazy how when you're in one of those situations, everything slows down.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I guess I'll widen a little bit more, but I'm like, are you shitting me, dude? Well, I'm right here, bro. I'm not even hidden. I got my light. I'm next to you. I'm not even in your blind spot. I'm here. Yeah. And this guy, and then I just, and then it happens so fast. We're like, around him. And then you're gone, and I'm just sitting there. My girlfriend's asleep in the car the seat next to me.
No idea.
No clue. And I'm just like, I want to be you. Why don't you get to drive home from the show? But what are you going to do?
That's kind of like that joke that Ron White talks about, the guy who is going to stand out in a hurricane that's coming to Florida and tie himself to a tree. And he says it's not that the wind is blowing. It's what the wind is blowing.
Yeah, it's what the wind is blowing, yeah.
It's that Volvo coming at you that's going to kill you. So it's not that you're a good driver and you can stay in your lane.
It's everyone else.
Yeah, what are these other assholes going to do?
Yeah,
they have something to say about this.
And that's where the adjustment comes in, right? And it's like you think about comedy, too. People who are like, well, I'm funny. But can you be funny in front of these people?
There is some steps to it, isn't there?
There's steps. And then there's like, well... It's like the idea of everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face the first time.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah, I know you got your little set list written out, and it's good. I always do better if I have a set list written.
Yeah.
But if I write a set list and then I compare my actual jokes that I told on stage, I'm like, it's never what the set list is.
Yeah.
But at least I have that.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like you're gonna go up there, you're gonna have some drunk asshole who's gonna say something, and you can either be the comic who chugs through and just keeps doing the jokes, which there's something to that too. But it's like everyone just heard this guy.
Yeah.
You got to address them.
Yeah, you got to say something.
You have to say something.
Yeah.
And, and then eventually you get comfortable with that, and then you can be like, you can actually work with that. It's like when something happens, you're like, oh, sweet, now I have, an extra 10 minutes because I don't even need to do all my material.
A clip of you, and you actually handled the heckler quite well. And I that's good, I think.
I think you need to be able to handle hecklers. You don't want to just become a crowd work comic. You still want to write and do jokes and stuff, but it's like, if you can handle a heckler, you can handle any room then. Like you can go, it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't matter what the kind of crowd is, you can handle them. And if you can do that, you make yourself pretty versatile.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you walk up and you make a comment on something that's happening in the room, if they know you're in the moment, they know you aren't reciting something. They know it's real. It's a real conversation about something that just happened or something you see or notice around the room.
Yep.
It only has to be half as funny to get the big laugh.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be as funny as a really good joke to get a really big laugh. And the same thing with a heckler. It doesn't have to be super clever.
Right.
It just has to be kind of clever.
And
you can get the crowd on your side.
What I've noticed because I try to do that, I try to watch who's before me. Because then it's like, okay, because the crowd watches who's before you.
Oh, yeah.
They're there.
Sure.
So it's like, I want to have a reference. I want to know, did this guy just talk about this?
Yeah.
Because I want to know.
Yeah.
And then what I've noticed is like, they basically give you the setup. So all you need is the punchline or the tag or a little something. Because the crowd already knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're not,
they were at the show.
Yeah. It's not a Netflix special. No one's watching this at home. They're at the show.
Yeah.
They know what you're talking. They're going to get the reference if you make it. So, I try to do that at the beginning of a set just because it's like, look, we'll ease into it. I'll show you that I watched the show too.
Yeah.
Like I tried to, because I was at a show, it was actually at the Comedy Store. I wasn't on it. I was just watching it.
Right.
And there was two people sitting up front, right? Guy and a girl, first comic, or I think second comic after the host goes up and is like, so how long, you guys together, how long you been dating? They're like, we're not dating. We're just friends. Next comic. Hey, how long you been dating? Oh,
no.
Next comic. I swear to God, 5 comics in a row did this shit.
No.
And by the end of it, the crowd was sitting there like, it was funny when the second comic did it, and they're like, they didn't see the first comic.
Yeah.
And after 5 comics, though, they're like, so you guys didn't watch this shit. We're just sitting here, and you're treating us like we're all assholes. And so I don't ever want to be that comic who's like, because then it's the most awkward. It's awkward because you're like, you're trying to do this bit, and you're like, why isn't this funny? This should be funny.
Yeah.
And, you don't have the knowledge that everyone else in the crowd's like, they already said it.
Right.
Someone already said it. And
right.
Like, fuck.
I do think it's kind of interesting, though. There are different levels to performing. And I used to coach my daughter in golf, and I'd tell her she has to learn the swing. And then she's got to be able to perform the swing on the range. And then she's got to be able to take that swing and take it to the course and play with it. And then she's got to take that game and take it to competition and play with it when there's pressure on. And it's like comedy. You got to write the joke, and it's got to be funny.
Yep.
You got to be able to perform the joke, know what the timing's supposed to be. Then you have to perform it. But then you also have to be able to perform it when there's shit going on in the room.
Yes.
Whether it's interrupting you intentionally as a heckler or whether it's just shit going on in the room.
Yep.
Now, I have one of probably my best bit is my finder, chatter, caller bit. And I close with that a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I've done that where I paused in the middle and you could hear a pin drop. I mean, even the staff has stopped to think, what is he doing? Because I'm going finder, chatter, caller, meter, treater, meter, feeder, feeder, fucker, site. And they're going, what is this? Dr. Seuss broke out, But that's when everybody is captivated at that point. So I think it's nice to have those go-tos, but that doesn't just happen. Right. That takes a lot of practice. Actually, that's my best bit. And actually, that's a bit somebody has even offered to buy for me, which is kind of nice. I think that's a compliment, but I can't sell it because then what do I have?
Right. But there's something, I like what you said about pin drop. Because there's something about developing a joke where you control the audience, right?
Yes.
You're like a magician up there. You have them captivated, maybe a hypnotist, right? You have them hypnotized to the point where it's like, I have to know what's next.
Yes.
They're dying to hear what's next. And that's when you slow it down, right? And that's how you can extend your time too. It's like, why am I going so fast? Slow it down. And then you give them that relief of the punchline, and they're like, oh, okay. It's great.
Mike Green talked about that. I don't know if you listened to my podcast with Mike Green, but he was on recently, and he did stand-up comedy on the road for 32 years.
Right.
And he talked about traveling with a guy and watching this guy really as a maestro, really conducting the whole room, that he was in touch with what was going on, and he was orchestrating the whole environment and what was being said and when they're going to laugh. And he was kind of taking them on the adventure with him. He had engaged everybody. He had said enough that was interesting enough to actually have them on board and have them going down the road.
Yep.
Now, I know that I have occasionally had that happen to me. And I like to think that I did it on purpose, but it just sometimes they're with you. And you don't know why, and sometimes they aren't. But when they're with you, it sure feels good.
But that's where it goes back to golf, right? Because I occasionally play golf. I'm not a golfer, but I play golf, and I've had some good shots. And when you hit that good shot, you're like, why can't I do that every time?
Yeah.
And that's when you watch like your maestro comedian, you're like, this guy does this shit every set.
Yes.
And it's not like he's doing the same jokes every set. No. He does the same hypnotized thing to the audience where they're saying, do you know Steve Hyatt?
No, I don't.
Steve Hyatt, I think he lives in mid-Michigan somewhere, but he's been doing it a long time, and I did a show with him and Bob Phillips. I don't know if you know Bob Phillips.
Yeah, sure.
So I was doing a show with them, and Steve was headlining. I was hosting, Bob was featuring, and then Steve was headlining, and Bob was telling me, watch how Steve works, because he does a lot of crowd work too, but he's able to, like, because I watched him for 4 shows. It was a weekend, right? It was 2 shows Friday, 2 Saturday, and I was watching him, the way he was able to get the crowd every show, right? He was able to like get the crowd in on this bit with him, and it made him feel special, right? And I'm like, he did this to the show before though, but they don't know because they're an audience, right? And as a comic, I'm watching it like this guy is able to get the crowd with him on his team, on his side, and all like cheering for the same thing.
Well, there's something about being in the moment to make that happen.
Yes,
that you have to respond to what's happening in the room and really engage them. There's a difference between talking to somebody and talking at somebody, just reciting something.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And when you get to that level where you're really a good comic, you're really kind of with them in the moment and telling them something you feel strongly about, but you're there with them. You aren't just reciting because this is the next words I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
You aren't doing that. And I don't know how you get to that moment always when the crowd is... You know, at our show, sometimes it's a bar.
Yeah.
And people don't go to the bar to listen. People go to the bar to talk. Nobody has ever called you up and said, hey, let's go to the bar and sit in silence for 90 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not what you do at a bar. Let's go hang out and shoot the shit. That's what they go to a bar to do.
But then it's like, shoot the shit, right? You're on stage. You know this is what the people want to do. They want that shit. And that's where... Like if I'm at a bar and you see the bar patrons who are I'm here every night. Yeah. This is my seat.
They're at the corner,
right at the corner. You know exactly. They're sitting at that corner, and they're like, I'm not going to look at the stage, even though it's literally right next to me.
Yeah, really?
I'm like, I'm going to fuck with you, okay? Because I want to. First of all, I want to, so I'm going to do it. Now you're not going to stop me, all right? This is not. I don't care that this is your bar.
The mic.
You're an I have a mic. You're an alcoholic. Right. Let's do this shit. So I'm like, why are we not going to do it? Like last night I was at a show and there was this table of hecklers in the back, and it's just like they weren't even hecklers. They were just a loud table who wasn't there for the show, and it's like, again, you can be the recited comic who has their jokes,
right,
which can work, but other times it's like, look, we all know. There's an 800-pound elephant in the room or gorilla. I don't know what the saying is, but it's like, are we not going to address this? Are we just going to... I can't be the guy who's like, I guess we'll ignore it. Yeah. I guess we'll ignore it. Yeah. I do that at Thanksgiving with my family. If someone says some shit, like, let's just forget they said that. Let's just forget you're at Thanksgiving dinner and someone's like, so who you voting for? And you're like, oh, fuck, or who did you vote for?
Yeah.
I guess it's November, but it's like, not at a comedy show. No. We're talking about this right now.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
I was doing one of Mike Ball's shows up outside Saginaw at Hill's Bar, and there was a heckler there. It was a really heavy set, obnoxious, drunk white lady. And I was on the show with a whole bunch of people who hadn't done a lot of comedy. Okay. So people were just kind of taking it. And she was shouting out her little quips and her little tags or, her 2 cents on everything. And I felt bad for the comics because they didn't know what to do. Right. And so they just recited their jokes and kind of got... Well, then I went on and I said, no, we're going to talk...
You have to.
We're going to talk about this. Well, it's the only way it's going to start. You know what I mean? And I got her to shut up. And then right after me came Veronica Douglas.
Oh, yeah. She's great.
And she's in the moment, and she's bold as hell.
Yeah.
And her first lines is, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, and you're the elephant.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, yeah. She walked her. She got her to get up and walk out of the room just by belittling her.
I did a show with Veronica a couple of weeks ago, and we had that. It wasn't a fat white lady. It was just a drunk guy. And, Justin Essemacher hosted. He's got to deal with this guy. Veronica goes up next. She's got to deal with this guy. And then I go up. And so I'm dealing. At this point, everyone in the showroom knows this guy is talking but he's like yelling shit at every comic.
Oh, God.
So I go up. The first thing I say is I address this guy, right? Yeah. I'm like, so we found fucking the only black guy who eats pussy or whatever I said. I don't know what the fuck I said. Yeah. And so everyone's laughing. But I get him to leave halfway through the set.
Oh, great.
I think he might have left for other reasons, but he left. And I was like, oh, you're leaving, blah, blah, blah. And the whole crowd starts singing, nah, 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 nah. It was fun, man. It was a good time. But I don't know, man. I think you have to address it. And I think a lot of newer comics don't want to because they're like, I came here to work on my jokes. I wrote these jokes. I want to work on them. And I understand that. And that's why you got to do 85 open mics a week because you got to work on them.
Right.
But every open mic is going to have its challenge.
Right.
And you're not going to get through I want to do these 7 jokes. Well, you're probably going to get 5 on a good show. And then the rest of it's going to go to shit because either you rambled or some drunk guy said this or whatever.
Right.
So you have to take that into account. But as long as you're doing enough, you'll still be able to work on your jokes. But the problem is when the comic is so dead set on doing their jokes that they put blinders on, right? They're driving with blinders. They're just not even paying attention to the fact that the audience just wants laughs. They don't care if it's from your joke or not.
Right.
And they don't, and they also don't understand that sometimes the audience is like, we're going to laugh either way. You can make us laugh or we're going to make fun of you.
Right.
Because then it's just like you're up there getting torched.
All right, we've got to get out of here, but I want to give a special thanks to today's guest, Markus Olind, for making it such a good show. He will be back with a part 2, so we can look forward to that. Also, today I want to give a special shout out to my #1 fan in Florida, Terry. Thanks for listening. I see you're still downloading these things. I appreciate that. Now, I tell you what, folks, if you guys were entertained, check out my website at TEDTalks2much with the number 2.com, TEDTalks2much.com. Also, if you have any comments, you can feel free to leave them there, or for longer dissertations, drop me an email at tedtalks2much@yahoo.com. But until next time, like I always say, be safe, be good to each other, and try to be happy. I'm Ted Moss, and those are my thoughts. And with that, Bob's your uncle.